Hey everyone, it's Mitch here from Handy Bros. We know and understand what it's like to be caught in the dog days of summer without cooling. The goal of today's video is to walk you through some simple tips and tricks in order to get your air conditioner ready, but also to troubleshoot in case something goes wrong. You've probably seen our most recent ad, Take Your Top Off, but the very first thing you should do is take the air conditioner cover off the air conditioner. After you take the air conditioner cover off, the second thing to check is the disconnect. You want to make sure that it is on. The third thing to check is the outdoor coil. You want to make sure that it's free of debris and leaves, poplar fuzz, anything that might get in between there and stifle the air that's supposed to be going through the coil to cool it down. Most people wait till that first hot day of the season. Don't be like most people. Start your air conditioner early to ensure that it works long before you need it. One last thing to consider, call Handy Bros for a yearly maintenance. One of our highly skilled technicians will come out and we'll make sure that all of this is done for you ahead of time. Equipment maintenance is not only important to get your equipment ready for the months ahead, it's also important for the longevity of your equipment, the lifespan. It's important to make sure that your equipment is operating safely. It maintains the warranty on your equipment, and it also makes sure that your unit is running at proper efficiency. To wrap this up, if you don't want to worry about any of what I said in regards to how to get your air conditioner ready for the summer months ahead, just call the bros. We'll make sure that your air conditioner is running in tip-top shape before the summer season. Inevitably, a day will come when you're stuck without air conditioning. The next part of this video touches on tips and tricks that will help you when that day comes. If you have a no cooling emergency, the first place to start is always the thermostat. This may sound really basic, but the first thing to check is to make sure that your thermostat is actually on cooling. Sometimes your thermostat might not even have a display. If you have a battery operated thermostat, the first thing to do would always be to change the batteries in the thermostat. If your thermostat is not battery operated, the next place to go is to the equipment room. If there is no display on your thermostat and it is not battery operated, then typically that means that there's a power issue. The first place we're going to start is the furnace switch. Make sure that it is on. You'd be surprised, but a lot of times it can be as simple as that right there. Sometimes the kids run through and accidentally flip that off. Obviously, you're not going to have any air conditioning. After checking the furnace switch, if the power was on, the next place to go would be to either the breaker panel or the outside disconnect. We already touched on the disconnect outside, so we're going to look at the actual breaker panel here. If in fact the disconnect outside was on, you want to take a look at the breaker panel here, and you want to make sure that both your furnace and your air conditioner breakers are not tripped and that they're in the on position. An important note here, if in fact the breakers are on and your equipment actually is running, it's just not cooling the house, something to try here would be to actually flip the breakers off, leave them off for about 10 minutes so that your equipment can fully reset. Again, if you're trying to reset the equipment, you want to make sure that you have it off for at least 10 minutes so that if there were any faults or codes on there, they'd be fully removed from the system. If the power supply seems to be good and you've reset everything, the next thing to do is to check the furnace filter. Most of the tips to follow are related to airflow issues. After that, typically you have to get a technician out to go any further. But let's start with the filter. Let's take a look at that. It's super important that your filter doesn't get plugged. Your system needs to be able to breathe. If not enough air is passing through the filter, up through the coil, what happens is it's not removing enough heat from the home, which can cause that coil to actually freeze over. You may have seen this before. Sometimes your house isn't maintaining a set temperature. You come downstairs to see what could possibly be going on, and you realize that there's water all over your coil here, all over your furnace. Sometimes just there's a puddle around the entire base of it. Usually that means, again, that not enough airflow is passing through the coil and it's actually freezing up. This is not something that can really be solved by a customer, but at the same time, I've seen it where there has been no filter in the actual system, and as air is passing through the furnace, all the dirt and debris is actually plugging the coil that's existing for the air conditioner. Obviously, it's the same thing as having a plugged filter. Not enough air is passing through that coil and it creates loads of problems. Something else to check for is to make sure that all the registers and returns are free and open in the house. If you have registers closed or returns might be blocked by furniture, it's going to again starve the system of air. Really, there's only two reasons why your air conditioner would freeze over and not really be able to keep up, and that would be airflow issues. Again, filter, plugged coil. The outdoor coil is full of poplar fuzz, dirt, and debris, or improper charge. But again, that's not something that a customer could do on their own because you need specialized equipment to diagnose that. Again, the goal is to keep this video really basic. A lot of people don't realize that the air conditioner and the furnace are actually tied together. They're a system. So sometimes your air conditioning problems actually stem from a furnace problem. So that's something to consider as well. I had mentioned the filter, but also if your blower is plugged and it's not forcing enough air through that coil, it can also cause issues down the road. I know we touched on a lot of simple tips and tricks today. A lot of it you probably already knew. However, if you follow these tricks and tips, you might even be able to resolve a lot of your own issues. If you've run into any issues that you don't feel that you can solve, or if you don't want to worry about any of this at all, just call the bros. We're here for you in your time of emergency. Handy Bros, home comfort done differently since 1959.